Today live, you guys jump on in here. We're here, we're still live, no matter, well, as far as I know, no matter what's going on out there. The internet's still working for the most part, and I'm still here. And I still have great guests with me. And I was looking at the reports, we're almost up to 1,400 deaths, unfortunately, in the United States as of today, latest numbers I've seen. And we're all doing everything we can to try to prevent people from dying and prevent people from getting sick, and that's great. I mean, we should be looking out for each other. But what if there was something you could do to save lives all the time, not just during this weird kind of outbreak? Well, we're going to talk to someone who is interested in helping people all the time, not just during a pandemic. And so I've got a guest with me right now. Sheila Harper is with me, and she is with this group right here called Save One, helping men, women, and families recover after an abortion. So we're going to talk about, not talking about the virus today so much. We're going to talk about something that's serious all the time, every day of the year. Sheila, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Same as everyone, hold up for the most part. I do.
Yeah.
We are exempt, so I can actually come into the office. Um, but it's a weird time. You
Yes,
guys doing okay? You're in the Nashville area. How are you guys doing out there?
doing good. We're just staying home and only going out when we have to. And luckily, my office is only 2 miles from my house, so that makes it kind of nice that we run by, get the mail, that type of thing.
Yeah, I hear you. Well,
Mm.
let's talk about Save One. Give me a little background on what the organization does and how it started and what you do. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Safe One, we are actually celebrating our 20-year anniversary of truth. But they really can't go tell that truth until they've been healed because after an abortion, it's like you go into a closet and you hide and you want to make sure nobody sees who you are or finds out your secret. But after you're reconnected to Jesus and you're healed, it's like it's almost like men and women have to go tell people and not necessarily go and shout it to thousands, but they refuse to be silent any longer and allow their brothers and sisters in the public to be led to the slaughter like we. This whole thing started from my own abortion experience, and
Mm.
it was just a horrible, most excruciating and humiliating mistake of my entire life. And so after I found healing, I decided that this is definitely something I need to fight.
Let me ask you this because I have run into this in talking to people like you who have had an abortion. Some of our zeal
Mhm.
in the pro-life community to communicate how awful abortion is actually
Mhm.
causes a lot of damage to those who have been through it unwittingly. Did you
Totally.
experience some of that early where people are, railing about how awful abortion is, and you're sitting there going, I've been there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It seemed like, and I tell this in my book, Survivor, when I wrote down my whole story, it seemed like every time I would attempt to go to church, the women from the pregnancy center were there talking about abortion. It was like, I know that it probably wasn't like that, but it seemed like every single time I went, they were talking about that. And I would have an emotional reaction, a physical reaction. I would break out in a sweat. I would try not to look around because I thought I was the only one in the church who had ever had an
Mm.
abortion, because I would look around at the people and they all looked so nice and so Christian, and I thought nobody else has ever made a mistake like that. And so I knew I could never tell anybody. And let me follow that up with that church was not doing anything wrong. But what they were speaking was true, that abortion is wrong. It is terrible. We need to stop it. But at the same time, to follow that up with hope for the men, women, and families who are sitting in our churches every week. The statistics are 1 out of every 3 women have chosen abortion of childbearing age, have chosen abortion. That means 1 out of every 3 men have lost fatherhood. And so when you look at these numbers, knowing that we've had nearly 62 million abortions just in America alone, when you look at these numbers, that's a lot of people in our churches. And so, yes, preach about the sin of abortion, but then follow it up with there's still hope, though, for those of you sitting in the audience who have made this choice. And don't try to deny that those people are there, because they're there. I promise. But offer them a way out, offer them healing. That's one thing that has made us so successful, is because pastors are recognizing that this is their way to fight the abortion issue without having to get controversial or bring politics into it or anything else. They're just literally helping the men, women, and families who are hurting and suffering after this choice.
Once you opened up, started talking to people, what did you find about those people in the church that you thought none of them knew what you were going through, none of them had ever done anything wrong, none of them had ever experienced an abortion? Did you find that a lot of them had?
Oh, absolutely. And they were just looking for an avenue. And to think that they could come to their church, it was like this great discovery. And what we're seeing, a lot of pastors are finding out that once they start offering Save One at their church, then people come out of the woodwork and they're like, oh, I can talk about it now because my church is talking about it. And so it just opens up this whole new avenue of healing for people. And what we see is their life is completely transformed, because having an abortion is not like any other problem that we suffer. And so their life just completely is transformed when they realize God's grace does cover the sin of abortion, and I can walk free from this and be healed. And it's beautiful. Well, I never get tired of seeing that kind of transformation in people's lives.
What's sort of your approach? How do you open up that conversation with someone who after the abortion?
Mm-hmm. Well, the greatest way is to tell your own story. When I start telling my story of the abortion that I had, and that I spent 7 years after that just wanting to die, I attempted suicide during that time. I became reliant on drugs and alcohol just to get through the day. And then I finally found my way to a Bible study, a lot like the one that Save One offers. And it's like it's like they find a safe place. Let me give you an example. I went with a team one time out of the country to another country, and we met up with another team there who were going to take us into these different villages and places. And this denomination had invited several experts in their opinion, or in their words, for these different subjects. Well, I got invited because I was the expert in abortion recovery. And so when I got there and we landed, got on the bus, and the leader of this group came back and asked if she could sit with me on the bus. So my husband moved out of the way, and she sat down and she started confessing an abortion to me. She's the leader, this huge leader of this missions team. And so she was telling me in secret and confessing this abortion. And I said, wouldn't it be great if you started offering Save One here in this country? And so the missionaries who come through here could be healed and then be whole when they are out on the mission field, those who have had an abortion. And she said, oh, there's not anybody else who has had an abortion that comes through here. And I said, well, how do you know it? And she said, because nobody's ever told me. And then I said, well, how many people have you told? And she goes, nobody. And I said, okay, but you told me. So I'm a safe place. And it was like the light bulb went off for her that I was a safe place so she could confess that abortion to me. And so she became that safe place, and other people started confessing abortions to her, and she was able to help them. It just takes that first person to start talking, and then it's like, oh, okay, we're going here now, and we can lay this burden down and finally get some rest from it.
Yeah, no, that's great. We're talking to Sheila Harper, the founder and president of Save One. an organization that helps people recover after an abortion. And it's interesting, you know, right there on your website, it says that you're helping men. But, you know, you hear a lot in our culture today. Men, shut up. It's a woman's issue. It's a woman's choice. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
Is this an issue that affects more than just women?
Absolutely. And it took me a while to learn that. And honestly, I feel like the other side, the pro abortion side of this debate, was ingenious in taking the men out of this because they knew how powerful a man's voice is in a woman's life.
Hmm.
And so they closed the mouths of an entire generation of men who no longer believe that it's okay to speak to this issue. And that was, it's unconscionable actually what has happened to the men in this issue. But what changed my mind was when I first started Save One, I wrote the first Bible study, the women's study, and we started having success at this church that I was at here in Nashville. And it's a huge church, huge mega church. And so we started having success. The women were coming out of this class and starting to talk openly about what God did for them through the Save One Bible study. And all of a sudden, I had made a promise to God that I would speak to whomever, I would go wherever, and I would do whatever it takes to get the job done. And so a man came to me and asked to go through the women's class. And I was like, what? You know, I do a double take. A man wants to go through the women's Bible study. And I don't know about you, but I would think that if a man is asking to go through a woman's Bible study, that is some serious pain. And so I gave him the women's book, and he came every single week. He brought his wife, who was not part of the abortion experience, but he brought his wife, and her eyes were open to the whole situation. He went through that study with 8 women, and like all of us were together. He graduated. It was absolutely beautiful. He got his healing because God can work even through a women's book with a man. You know, it's God's word. That's what it is. And so he came through with flying colors. The very next time we offered the class, another man asked to go through the women's class. And that's when I knew, okay, God is showing me something here. I wrote the men's study. Since then, we have had countless numbers of men go through the men's study. In 2018, my husband joined the organization full time and is our full time men's director now. And we're like, the men have just come out of the woodwork since he has been a part of things. And now we're one of the partner ministries with Promise Keepers, and it's like doors just keep opening up that weren't open to us before my husband came on board. So he's made everything greater.
That's cool. Well, so does that mean you're going to be here in Texas at the end of July?
Yes, we will be.
Okay, great.
And we're bringing a whole team of men. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to get to come. My husband said the men's trip. So he's bringing a whole team of men to come and work our Save One booth and minister at the altars and that type of thing.
All right. Well, for anyone that's interested, that is here at AT&T Stadium where the Dallas Cowboys play, July 31st and August 1st. So you can check out Promise Keepers for that. You reference the class and you reference graduating. What exactly is it that you're doing?
The way we offer help is through a Bible study that I wrote. The first Bible study, which was the women's I mentioned earlier, has now been translated into 20 different languages.
Wow.
And it's just been phenomenal. But it's just a simple Bible study. I wrote the men's study, as you know, and then we started having grandparents of aborted children, siblings of aborted children want to come through the class. So then I wrote a third Bible study called The Ripple Effect. And statistics tell us that one abortion can touch up to 25 people. So when you think about that there's almost 62 million abortions that have happened in our country. If each one of those touches 25 people, that's a lot of families. Abortion is a crisis in our families. And so these 3 Bible studies mirror each other. And so it's real easy to invite the whole family. And you may have, rarely is the whole family in there, but you've got a man, a woman, a grandmother, and you can offer one abortion recovery class in your church or pregnancy center, but have a book that is geared toward the person that's hurting. And so we like to say that we now minister to the entire family when it comes to the abortion issue. And what we see are these people get healed through God's word. It's not anything magical I'm writing in these books. It's just God's word that we're offering. But they get healed, and then they go back into their families, their workplaces, their churches, their communities, and they're then able to tell the truth. And we're not hearing the truth in the media or in the politicians or anything else like that. We're hearing the truth from the people who have actually experienced abortion.
That's good. That's powerful. Again, we're talking to Sheila Harper, founder and president of Saved One, ministering to people who have been through an abortion, men and women and families. So if you know anyone that has been touched by this, you might want to share this right now wherever you're watching out there, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, all the channels. Share, subscribe, follow, and let's get this message of hope out to the people that need it most, because this is very, very much a needed issue. It's one thing to stand up for life, and we should, but a part of that is to stand up and help those who have been through it and need some healing on the other end of it. Mm-hmm. Sheila, you've got quite the testimony. I think a lot of times we wonder, especially those of us who are a little insulated inside the church walls, if you will, how does someone get to the point where they're considering an abortion? Mm-hmm. But yet it's common, we know. How did you get there?
Well, I got there when I was 19 years old. And I'll tell you, the date was March 29th, 1985. So Sunday, it'll be 30 years since I had my abortion to the day. And I got there because I asked one of my best friends. I told her I was pregnant. She said, it's no big deal. I had an abortion when I was 15. That's what you can do. Just have an abortion. And I thought, well, maybe that is the answer. It's just a quick and easy, like it's no big deal. If she said it was no big deal. And so that got planted into my mind. Oh, it's no big deal. But so I was with her. I made the appointment. And the closer the appointment got, I kept feeling like this doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right to me. But I kept justifying it because I thought, well, the Supreme Court is much smarter than me, and they've been appointed, and I'm sure they have looked at all the pros and cons, and they made it legal, so it must be okay. And so that's how I justified it. I kept thinking the Supreme Court wouldn't have made it legal if it wasn't okay. But I still couldn't rectify how or why I was feeling so yucky about it. And so back then in 1985, we didn't have the internet, and people weren't offering ultrasounds, and we weren't privy to the facts that we are now. And I feel like that's why we're winning. That's why we're seeing numbers go down, because science has finally, we can't deny science, and it's out there everywhere on the internet. So anyway, that's how I got to that decision. When I talk to people, when people come to us looking for help, rarely has somebody said, "Oh, I just flippantly used it as birth control." I can't even think of a situation where I heard that. It's always, I couldn't afford a child. I couldn't, or I felt like I had no choice, or my husband gave me an ultimatum, or she just had the abortion and I didn't even know about it. I was begging her to marry me. It's situations like that people are just distraught, and they don't know what else to do, and it's available, so they think, okay, I'll just go do that. I don't know anybody who has ever come out of an abortion better than how they went in. Abortion is elective, and it's not health care for women. It's absolutely not health care. When I was at the abortion clinic in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which no longer exists, thank God, it was a horrible place. Horrible. when they didn't even go by my name. I gave them a fake name. Nobody cared what my name was. I wasn't asked for an ID. All I
Jeez.
had to do was give them cash, and they gave me a number too, and that was my card. And all I was a number. And so by the time they started calling numbers, the room I was in was filled to over capacity. There were girls lined around the walls. There were girls sitting on the floor. Every chair, every arm of every chair and couch was taken by a girl. They herd them in like cattle. And you can't tell me in between each abortion they're sterilizing up to code every instrument
Mm.
because they're herding us in so quickly. My recovery room was a room filled with beanbag chairs. I was led over and laid down on a beanbag chair.
Oh my gosh.
So if you ever go into a doctor's office that looks like that, run in the opposite direction because it's not legit. It was a horrible, horrible place.
Well, what's your view of the abortion lobby? I'm sorry, the pro-choice lobby right now in America.
Well, I just had a taste of it when I was outside the Supreme Court the week of oral arguments in this case from Louisiana, the first week of March before the whole pandemic hit. And we were having a peaceful rally on one side. They were screaming and yelling and cussing and like just it was such a dynamic to see it right there side by side, good versus evil. It was nothing but evil on this side. It was absolutely horrible. And it's not even like I get mad or angry when I see them. My heart hurts for them because I know they are so deceived, unbelievably deceived
Hmm.
into thinking and lobbying to for children to be killed. It's like, when did the child in the womb become such a threat and an enemy? And that's the way that children are looked at from that side. They keep everybody focused on the woman instead of the moment you take them into the womb. It's like, oh, they're done talking. No, I'm not going there. No, you have to try to make me feel guilty. It's like they start attacking you personally, or they're just done with the argument.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have a leg to stand on. We have the truth, and the truth always wins.
So you refer to abortion as killing children, and I know we've all seen somewhere at some point, because the news likes to show the most extreme. You've heard people say, abortion is murder. How does that hit you? Because that to me would seem to be very difficult to hear from the
Mhm.
people that are on your side if you've been through it.
Yes. It's a word that I rarely use because of that reason, because I'm aware of who my audience is, and it is those who are abortion wounded. But they are living their life under this shroud of guilt. And I want them to know that this is a safe place. We're not going to yell killing and murder and all of that kind of stuff. It still feels like a punch in the gut sometimes when I see a Facebook post, or I hear words or see graphic images and things like that. Even as me being healed, it feels like a punch in the gut.
Mm.
So it is something that I rarely use, but at the same time, it is the truth, and it's what they are lobbying for,
Mm.
and it has to stop.
Mm. Well, I'll tell you what, it's powerful hearing it from you, from a woman, from someone who's had an abortion.
Well, thank you.
You're in a position to say things that some of us can say as truth, but it's just different when you've been there,
Mm, I
and
get
so,
that.
yeah, you do.
Mm,
Let's talk about some of the action that people can take. The average person at home, person watching this right now, what can they do on two fronts? One, in the fight against abortion, but two, in the effort to heal those like you're doing.
hmm Well, for one, we're on 5 continents. We have 285 chapters in 23 different countries around the world.
Wow.
We're in 34 states here in America. And so what we want people to do is to start a chapter in their church. We're not trying to sell you a book, or it doesn't even cost anything to be a chapter, and you get a free web page on our website. But just teaching this Bible study, and it's not a requirement to have had an abortion to teach this Bible study. But we train you what to say, how to approach your pastor, everything, and just help you start a chapter in your local church or pregnancy center. And so that is one huge thing, because you're not rocking the boat. You don't have to go in and say, I'm a Republican or a Democrat, or, you don't even have to bring politics into it. This is literally just the church being the church. But if you don't want to do something like that, go check out your local pregnancy center. They are doing so much great work. Go volunteer. Have a baby shower, a diaper shower for your local pregnancy center. They're always in need of diapers, formula, and wipes and things like that. So there's lots that you can do, tangible action that you can take to help the pro-life movement move that ball forward more and more, without having to be controversial or political, if that's not your thing. But there's lots of things you can do to be political as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I think this is one of those fights that we need to fight on every front.
Exactly.
Every single front.
Exactly.
We didn't have time to talk a lot before we started the interview, but I'm adopted. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, adopted at birth, unwanted pregnancy. I say unwanted child. My biological mother would not say that now, but at the time, obviously, she was not in a position to take care of me. And so this is something that I do feel strongly about, and I can't express how much I appreciate someone like you, not only doing something, but the approach that you're taking in trying to help on all ends. Is there anything coming up, anything that you'd like to announce, some maybe Facebook groups or anything like that that people need to be aware of?
Well, I will tell you that we just had Tuesday night, we had a huge banquet planned. It was our annual fundraiser, and we had to take the whole thing online. And so we had like 5 days to pivot the whole thing online. So if you wanted to give to that, that would be awesome. Go to saveone.org/donate. But in the meantime, go and check out our resources, our t-shirts. One of the t-shirts that I have on, we have bracelets and all of our books and resources. And get a book and share it with someone. All of us know someone who has had an abortion. So get a book and share it with them, and just say, hey, I heard this girl online, and I thought you might like this book, or something like that, to just start the process. If we don't have a chapter near someone, we'll do a one-on-one with them, either through Skype or Zoom call or email or whatever is that person is comfortable with. So we're available to help men, women, and families all around the world.
You've also got your book here I've got on the screen, Survivor. Give people a quick overview of what Survivor is, and it's your life story, but tell them a little bit about what you're discussing in that book.
Yes, Survivor is my story from beginning to end. I tell all the hairy details of the suicide attempt and all that I went through, the nightmares I suffered, the rejection, just everything that I suffered through this 7-year period. But then the victory of how God pulled me out of that, what He said to me, specific things that He planted in my mind to point me in the right direction and point me toward help in Him. And the glory, the incredible victory that I live under now, that I never dreamed was available to me, but is.
Great. And that book is right there, Survivor. You can get that. I've got it on Amazon, so you can get it wherever.
You can get it on Amazon right now, but right now on our website it's off because I'm adding more details to it. So in the next month or so, it'll be probably in April, it'll be available again on our website. So be watching for that. But you can get it on Amazon as well.
Great. Sheila Harper, president, founder of Save One. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. I just appreciate everything you're doing and I encourage people to check out saveone.org. Was it org?
Mm-hmm.
And see what's going on, see how you can get involved. Maybe start a chapter and help people in your community who have been through this. And this is such a huge issue. It's funny. I mentioned this at the beginning of the program that we are doing we're doing a lot. Let's just put it that way to try to save lives with the coronavirus. Do you know how many abortions take place in the United States currently?
Well, the numbers are down. They're less than 1 million now. It wasn't over 1 million every year, but now we're hitting under 1 million. And for the last 3 years, the numbers have gone down steadily.
Which is great news, but can you believe that we're celebrating that it's now under 1 million?
Unbelievable.
I mean, honest to God, if we had lost 1 million people to coronavirus in a year, we would be freaking out. But
Exactly.
it's sad because it's like, abortion, no big deal. And
Mm-hmm.
those are the most innocent and vulnerable among us. So appreciate you, Sheila. Thank you for all that you do.
It's an honor to be here with you.
You guys share this. Let's get this word out. This is not something that we can just sit back and let people let. We need to educate people. As Sheila said, science is on our side. The sonograms, the information, the innate, for most women, the innate desire to care and nurture for a child. I mean, that's a God-given gift. That's why God gave it to women because men aren't always good at that. So I mean, this is such a big thing. But then on the backside, those who have been through it, restoring them, healing them, and putting them in a position to be able to minister to others and to speak out against abortion and tell the truth. Please, let's do all that we can. Share this interview, share the website, send people to saveone.org, start a chapter, donate, whatever you can. This is such an important thing. So I just urge you to do whatever you can. Thank you again, Sheila. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to share this in all the locations wherever you're at. And I will see you. We've got more great interviews starting next Monday. We'll be here every day at noon Central on Life Today Live.
Yes, we have American gods. The gods of lust, the gods of secularism, the gods of indifference, the gods of amusement, the gods of all that are rampant throughout America tonight. And God says you'll have to make a choice.